my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and it is so good to share some energy with you today. I'm going to get into something that has been coming up with clients and friends alike, and I wanted to share the message with you. Sometimes our heads get in the way of our hearts. And what that means is that, and the title that I'll extend here after this uploads is that you should chase your love. If you have a situation, an opportunity, or a connection that is presented to you, whether it's a job or a career or a hobby or a path or a person, and you have vetted it in some form or fashion, I'm not just saying be reckless. And while I titled it Punch Drunk Parlor, because Punch Drunk Love, if you've ever seen it, is some of the most all consuming and directional love, even though it can be reckless and a mess. And sometimes when we're chasing after a dream, an ambition, a person, a situation, an opportunity, everyone else can see us as being reckless when we know that it might be exactly the place that we're supposed to be. In my life, I've had lots of advice from people who have wanted to steer me off of a path because they thought it might be dangerous for me or wanted to push me into a different direction. And they were well meaning people. But I realized at a certain point in my life that I had to stop taking their advice and sink into my heart and ask myself, what is true? And often those people would come back around with their own situations where they were chasing the thing that they wanted to chase, and they would not do what they had advised me to do because they were following their true north. And that's why I want you to understand, especially empath, we can easily be influenced when we love someone. We are highly susceptible to someone's influence if we trust and value them, even if they're not good to us. And that wasn't the case with the people that advised me. These were people that were actually good to me, no issues, no drama. But there were people that did not see what I saw, and they could not tell what I could tell, and they did not know what I knew. And sometimes that will be the case for you too. Meaning that someone who has your absolute best interest at heart may not know the person that is supposed to have your heart. They may not know who that person is. They may not know what your business should be. They may not know what direction your hobby should go in or how you should make extra money. You are given those intuitive nudges and you are given the guidance. But do not let yourself get talked out of it by someone else who means well, who might have their own fears and apprehensions about what you going on your path means. There's a couple of things that could be happening here. If you chase something and you go after it and then you bring it near to you and you acquiesce it and you make it a reality, it is a confirmation on what they could not be for some of them, even if they meant well. A lot of us know people that did not fulfill their potential or their destiny. And so if they see you doing it, they're like, oh my gosh, that's scary. What does that say about me? This is something that I've noticed specifically in weight with people when they have lost weight or gained weight. If you're not around a secure person and you're going on a journey like that, you'll notice that people that I've been there. I've had my other fellow fat friend, and whatever the case may be, and this was years ago, but when one of us started exercising more, there was jealousy. And I will tell you, it was jealousy slanted at me because I experienced it. But I also have been the other person who has felt it. And well, what it was is it confirmed for me my fears that I was never going to bring that reality near because it wasn't something that I had lassoed at that time. So I've been on both sides of it. That's why I say, know your shadow side, empath. We all are capable of something like that. Now, you can rise above it and not sink to envy and get vicious and malicious and all the crazy. But sometimes people will sabotage you if they don't think that they can make their dream a reality, or they will be intimidated by you and they might try to dissuade you, depending on what it is. That's why I didn't want to just relegate this to love relationships. So that was the premise because of a specific conversation that I had. But what I will tell you is that people will easily lead you off track just because they can't fathom the thing that you're seeing, or they don't know how it could work out, or they don't understand the nuances. Now, here's what I will say too: life is short. I have such a passion to convey that. I'm so aware that I have a limited amount of time on this ball that is spinning through space, as we all do. And after a pandemic, I mean, guys, I don't think we are fully aware yet, and it won't be till 10, 15 years that they do psychological studies on those of us that live through this. We live through something that will be in history books for hundreds of years after we are not here. We were part of the essential, our version of the bubonic plague Can you imagine? Like I'm awed. I'm in awe of the fact that this is something we lived through and that most of us got it and half of us passed from it, and it was this incredible journey that was stupefying and surreal, and we're still dealing with it. So we haven't even begun to heal. This will be talked about for years. And so when I deal with that, not only dealing with that, but my own personal journey of health last year, that was a cataclysmic explosion, a series of unfortunate and weird things that happened to me that were in like with doctors standing around me being like, we don't even understand why you're still here. I want to convey to you, do not take for granted your years. If there's something that you want, go after it. A lot of us get in our head and we start to like pedal backwards, right? And we'll say, well, no, I shouldn't do that. This isn't right because this, that, and the third. And that's okay. I think common sense and logic should always come into play, but it cannot come into play so much that you are not living your life. And again, I'm reminded of what Betty White said when she said, I regretted wasting time with Alan. We could have had one more year together because for a year, Betty White let her head overrun her heart. There are a million interviews that are up where she talks about this because I think it's something that haunted her when he passed away. He succumbed to cancer 18 years into their love story, but that was the love of her life. And she was resentful initially of his proposals because she'd been married a couple times and she was like, I don't really want to do it. I have a great career. You live over here. I live over here. They lived across the country. It's travel. It's a lot. You have kids. I don't know if the kids are going to like me. His wife had just passed the year before. It was complicated. And sometimes the best things in your life will be exactly that, complicated. You do not make an omelet without cracking a few eggs. People's feelings will get hurt if you're going after a dream sometimes. People will abandon you and feel abandoned by you if you go after what actually feels divine and makes you happy. But eventually, the lesson of Betty was that it was worth the discomfort to her life to go after a love that to her felt so right, even though she had tried to compartmentalize it, even though she had tried to think it away, will it away, explain it away, and rationalize it away. She couldn't do it. And fortunately for her, she had a partner who was persistent. She said after he proposed with the ring, and she wouldn't take it. He put it on a chain and he wore it on his neck, and she said he would take it to the beach and there'd be sand in it and all that stuff. And finally, when she accepted, he had to have it professionally cleaned because he literally carried it on his chest to remind her, because they were still dating, even though she kept saying no. You will one day say yes. I love the energy of Alan there. I love that he knew Betty White is my matching pair and I will have you, but I'm not going to push you into it. But I'm not going to back off because I know that when we get into it, baby, you'll be into it. And boy, was she ever, from her own mouth, the love of her life that she almost missed because for a whole year, she was hell bent on not being somebody's wife. It's such a powerful lesson regarding how we stress about things that don't matter. And in her end of life review, she said the only thing she regretted was not loving him and allowing him to love her as soon as she knew she had properly vetted him, which was pretty much a couple months into the relationship. She knew, but she pushed it back because of logic, because of well meaning advice, because of agents that thought this won't look right because. And the happiest thing in Betty White's life, besides her love of animals, ended up being her Alan. And I've made other videos about it. Hashtag obsessed, hashtag my favorite golden girl. But because of it, and I think all of ours, I think I speak for a collective here, but because of that, Alan was the last word she said because Alan who met her when she laid in her deathbed and she crossed over, he came to get her as she always knew he would. Man, when you've had love like that, then everything else is just okay. It's just good. She said, when you've had the best, why would you want the rest? That's why she never remarried. Now, back to you. Do not tarry if there is a person in your life that you feel that way about. If it's complicated and you don't know how it's going to work out, Go after what will bring you happiness, even if it's just a fleeting thing. Yes, what, Mona? Even if it's a fleeting thing, we are not guaranteed how something's going to pan out. You don't know how that dream's going to pan out, how that business is going to pan out. Are you going to be successful or not? Is it just for clout? Is it going to be a failure? I can't tell you how many things that I have tried at that have not taken off in the way that I imagined. I cannot tell you how many things that I've poured hours and hours of energy into that didn't not manifest the way that I thought it would. Relationships, opportunities, businesses. I am a go-getter, but sometimes the things I go after don't want me, and it's not in alignment, and it doesn't end up being my reality. But it doesn't mean that I don't shoot my shot. Shoot your shot, because you never know when you will hit a splash bucket, when you will not miss. I was watching the Splash Brothers, Curry and oh my god, I can't think of his name. I can't think of his name, but Curry and the other one that were playing, and they were bucket for bucket. Sometimes you will have opportunities and moments in life where the lights are all green and it's buckets for bucket, and everything you want in the foreground can be seen, and you know you're going after it. But sometimes we talk ourselves out of it. I was talking to a dear, dear, dear friend this morning who is chasing after love, but not chasing it in a reckless way. She's already stabilized the rest of her life. She's ridiculously successful, number one in the country. I am so proud of her. However, comma, and I asked for her permission to talk about this, but it's something she's enacting, and it's already in route. It's not just business anymore, it's a plan. She is in love. And what that means for her is that she may have to break a few eggs. It's not anything tawdry in any kind of way, but it means that she will have to move across the country to begin her bright new day. But the love is so damn good. And for the first time in her life, she's manifested something that feels right. And it is exactly what she asked for in the universe. She even said to me, I had to say to this guy, did you come from one of my pop up books when I was a kid? Because that's how vividly she had imagined it. And here he was, fully manifested after a series of unfortunate events. Can any of you guys relate to having something drop in your lap that feels so incredibly great, but so scary and overwhelming? When she was talking to me, I couldn't help but think of Betty White and Alan, and I told her so. I said, I know, my love, that you have to go because this is your moment. And even if it falls completely apart, don't worry. I'll be there to help put back together your heart. But you have to go and pursue this, because this is what life is really about. This is living in the moment. This is visceral. This is real. In a year where we watched death be all about us and we got so desensitized we almost couldn't feel, we all are seeking something real. It's the reason that the best love songs are written, because when we are finally smitten with someone who is worth breaking a couple of eggs, then god damn it, you make an omelet. And then you asked for cheese on the side. Maybe you asked for your potatoes to be fried. There are other requests that you can put in, but it would be a sin to never begin a journey that could lead you to divine and ultimate happiness. There will be many ways that that's presented to you, many nuanced ways of many different things you can do. But when God gives you an opportunity, the universe brings you an opportunity, your angels direct you, your guides, whatever you want to call it, shows you that there is an opportunity to crack something open and explore it. You better explore it. And yes, if it's person, you need consent. For this person, my sweet friend, it's mutually felt. And I could not be happier for her, because I watched her manifest a thing from a place of wholeness and no longer brokenness. She's the strongest she's ever been. And ironically, not ironically, that's when the right partner manifested for her. But it does require breaking a few eggs. When that opportunity comes into your life, do not look over it. Do not overthink it. Don't run it by too many people, as I advised her not to do. I said, incubate this, my sweet, sweet friend, and do what's right for you. Because everybody will get in and have an opinion. Don't do this, don't do that. It could go left, it could go right. But if it's your afternoon delight, then God bless America. Treat it right, nurture it, and watch it grow. And then, after you have a solid, sturdy root, then you can let some people know. That's good advice for anybody in anything you're doing, whether it's a college dream or a business that you're pursuing or a person. You don't have to share it immediately. I know we all get fluttery, right? When we first have those flutteries and butterflies, we want to like cross compare. Do you see what I'm seeing? Is this really here? But that's why you're here, empath. That's why you're here, practitioner. That's why you're here, earth angel. We do it better. We do it higher. And I don't care what anybody says. I am no denier of our great powers of intuition. You don't have to have everyone listen to the butterflies that are fluttering. You know what's true. And what I always say is energy is shared. You know what's right for you. If that thing is calling you, that dream is calling you, that college is calling you, that opportunity is calling you, entrepreneurship is calling you, a new body is calling you, then you do what's right for you. But if it's a new boo, consent, confer, vet, and then do what's right for you. Don't be Betty regretting that 1 year they could have had together more because she could not let her ego walk out of the door to let love in. Come on, y'all. That's a word from my angels. And that's a word from Betty. She could not let ego walk out of the door to let love in. And she considered that her greatest sin upon her life review is that she wasted a year not being absolutely enmeshed with the love that God brought directly to her from above. It was truly her greatest love. I don't want you to look back on your opportunities to have love met and think that, man, if only I would have vetted a little longer. I'm not guaranteeing you that everything you go after is going to work out. There are no guarantees. But if there's some body or some opportunity or some thing that has been repeatedly and quietly calling to you, and you know in your heart it's your precious boo, love it, embrace it, do not release it, do not deny it. That's my biggest thing that I want to convey today. Do not deny that love or push it away. You will regret it for the rest of your life. Even though Betty still had a beautiful life with Alan, she regrets that year, even though they were dating. It wasn't like they weren't talking the whole time. They saw each other, they flew out, they had dinners, he wined and dined her, the whole thing. But she regretted not fully enmeshing when she had the opportunity. She regretted being stubborn because she was trying to make logic. He was bringing her magic and pizzazz, and he was bringing her gilded bags, and he was bringing her adventure and a family, all the things she said she had prayed for, but she didn't ever think would be. God has a funny way of giving you something that you really want, sometimes in packaging that you think it should not be in, or that you would never want it to be in, that you might even consider a sin, but here it is in front of you. This amazing opportunity, this thing you always wanted to do, this person you always wanted to do, that you're curious about, this thing that you can't stop thinking about, that you want to bring in, this delicious thing. Guys, I'm singing to somebody's heart here. There's somebody here who has not explored their real desires because they're worried about logistics. And the logistics are not going to help you fix that broken heart if you push it away. I've watched people push away things that they've wanted. I can't say that's ever been anything I've done because you guys know my heart is huge and I'm a lover and I'm a pursuer. And like I said, I shoot my shots. If I want something, want someone, want an opportunity, I go after it. And yes, not to be crazy and not to be a stalker within reason. The rule of three applies to all things, and that's the last thing I want to leave you with. The rule of three. This is practiced in all earth magic and even Christianity. Sometimes you can go after a thing, but after three times you have to stop. Then you are no longer allowed. Meaning that if you continue to, it's outside of the will of God, it's outside of the will of the universe, it's not being brought to you. Something that is yours will also galvanize to you. Alan proposed to her several times, but he did not continue to pursue. He did wear that ring, and he continued to be rock steady and love her. And she saw that ring glinting in his hairs on his chest every day that he kissed her. But she was not pressured until finally, for the third time, he did ask, sending the bear on a bunny, which he kept to her dying day, with ruby earrings and emeralds and other things. She said it was the bunny that won her over. She's always a comedian, but truly, it was his persistence. But it was a rule of three. He didn't go over that. I don't know if he knew the rule of three, but it's something instinctually that he did abide by. If you've tried to go to college 3 times and you've dropped out 3 times, it might not be for you. You tried to open a bar 3 times and it hasn't worked for you. You tried to get your liquor license 3 times, it might not be for you. You tried to get your whatever degree in whatever, I don't know, physics, nursing, whatever, and it didn't work, it's not for you. If you tried to coach football 3 times and it didn't work for you, it's not for you. You tried to plant a above bed garden 3 times and it didn't work out, it's not for you. You tried to love someone several times and it's not for you. That I can relate to. I can relate to loving someone and giving them chance after chance after chance. And on the third chance, I thought there's no more chances. Before we can even get to the third, I was like, no, we've already done this a couple of 3, 4, 5 times. I will not, well, it wasn't 3 or 4 or 5, it was two. But I said there will never be a third. I realized I had to bow out gracefully because it was the rule of three. That person clearly wasn't for me. I have no regrets about it. You know, it's interesting the little ways that we manage things in our head. But if you have to do it more than three, it is now dead. It's dead in the water, it is dead to you, and only the universe can resurrect it. So if you are shooting your shot at a new boo and it's rejection, 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 then after that, that's it. If you're shooting your shot at that opportunity, then after that, that's it. That doesn't mean that if you're in the flow of a thing, let's talk about basketball and Michael Jordan. So, how many baskets do you think he missed in his life? Probably thousands, millions, probably, right? However, he was continuing to get better. If you see progress in a thing that you're going after, then the rule of three does not apply. But if you're absolutely abjectly denied, the rule of three applies. Does that make sense? I want to clarify that for you. So if something absolutely fails, I have had many little businesses that I have done, and yes, they've been mildly successful. Some have been more successful. Some have not been successful at all. But I didn't stop pursuing until I found my calling and until felt like I was no longer hitting a wall. And even in this, as we're speaking on YouTube, my growth has been tiny. It's been small. I'm almost to 100,000 views, but that has taken me years to accrue. A lot of people would have given up, but I don't because I see traction and I see growth every day. This is not an absolute rejection. The rule of three is not coming my way for this because I see a trajectory and a path that I'm carving out for me. You have to be able to discern what is working for you. A lot of people would say that I should quit. I had an ex that made fun of me because no one was watching my shit, as she said. She wasn't wrong. But one day, someone did watch it. I had a video that went viral for me, for this channel, and it happened overnight. You never know what can happen when the timing is right. And the evidence of that is still here. You can go search most popular video and you will see it there. And it was something I just did on a whim. I didn't plan it, I didn't write it out. I just had something I wanted to talk about and I did it. The reason I'm saying this to you is you can never count out what God has in store for you. She was hating from the sidelines and telling me what I couldn't do and low key being embarrassed because of all the low views. But you know what? God had a plan. Even if the whole point of that channel, this channel, was for that one moment in time, I still showed up. And so did the divine. Show up to your love. Show up for yourself, empath. Show up to the person that is enchanting you. If they're enchanting you, explore it, boo. There's something there. A little pizzazz, a little fun, a little extra something for you. Imagine the extra pizzazz. That's one of the words that Betty White used, which I kind of love. She said that Alan came with flair and pizzazz. But Betty's from like old stage hands and like, old school Hollywood. So that word seemed very appropriate. It's a word I like too. But when I heard her say it, it just pricked my heart. Pizzazz? Betty, that's something that you did do? Yes. Does what you're pursuing bring a little bit of joy de verve to you? Does it make you excited? Does it make you feel open? Does it make it feel like there are infinite possibilities? And even if it's not working in the way that you think, do you feel like still pursuing it will bring you not to the brink, but to the edge of possibility? If that's what a yes, then go after it. Do not let your head get in your way because you will be sad and reflecting back with regrets on how you could have had a better life or had a better day or had a better opportunity or if you would have just put a little bit more time into a thing. Investments into things we love are exhausting. It takes time to build a business. It takes time to learn something. It takes time to get it right. And it does not happen overnight. But when it happens, oh my God, you will be so grateful that you stuck it out and got it right. When it comes to a person, stop overthinking it. You only have one life to live. I counsel people every day that have relationships go any kind of way, left, right, up, down, affairs, you name it. But the truth of the matter is that most of us don't regret exploring a love, even if it doesn't work out the way we think it's going to. And the thing about it is that decision will only be up to the two of you, and then eventually up to you. Don't outlogic yourself going after something that feels right for you. Sometimes we lose, but sometimes, empath, we win. Bet on yourself. Bet on that thing. Bet on that school. Bet on that business. Bet on that person. Bet on yourself. You might just be surprised what you discover when you stop handing over decisions to others and start depending on the intuition God gave you. So good to share some energy with you. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.